Jack Ma, một doanh nhân, tỷ phú người Trung Quốc nổi tiếng với những lời khuyên chân thành cho giới trẻ. Hãy nhớ rằng ông ấy xuất thân từ thầy giáo và là người hoàn toàn tự học tiếng Anh từ khi chưa có Internet. Bài diễn văn này không dành cho kẻ may mắn, cũng không dành cho thiên tài. Nó dành cho bạn, những người trẻ đang khởi nghiệp, những ai đang bị hoài nghi, đang thấy mình kẹt giữa khát vọng bùng cháy và thực tế tàn nhẫn. Nào hãy cùng bắt đầu nghe nhé. Hãy nghe giọng tiếng Anh ấm áp và rất trôi chảy của ông ấy, đồng thời theo dõi bản dịch tiếng Việt trên màn hình. Các bạn nhớ tương tác với kênh, hãy đăng ký kênh, ấn chuông thông báo và xem hết video rất dài này. Tôi tin rằng bạn sẽ học được rất nhiều điều.
Let me ask you something, not as a speaker, not as a mentor, but as a human being. Have you ever fallen so hard that you questioned why you even started? Have you ever given your soul to something, dream, a goal, a person, a business, and ended up with nothing but silence and regret? Have you ever looked at the mirror and seen someone tired? Not just physically, but spiritually, someone who's not even sure if they can take another step. That is falling. And I know how that feels. I've been there more than once. When I was young, I thought effort alone was enough. I thought hard work would always pay off. So I worked like a maniac. I chased opportunity like it was oxygen. I was hungry, starving actually, for recognition, for success, for something that made me feel like I mattered. But the world doesn't care how hungry you are. I sent out resumes. No one responded. I started small businesses. They failed. I tried to speak up. No one listened. And at night, I laid in bed staring at the ceiling, asking, am I not enough? I didn't fall once. I kept falling over and over. And every fall felt harder than the last because every time I thought, this will be the one, life replied, not yet. Let me tell you about one of the lowest moments of my life. I was standing outside a cafe with a cheap shirt, borrowed shoes, and a heart full of ideas that no one believed in. I had just walked out of a meeting where they laughed at me. Not behind my back, in my face. They said, you don't look like a CEO. They said, you don't speak like a leader. They said, no one will follow you, and I believed them for a moment, because when you fall, the world becomes quiet. The phone stops ringing, the friends stop visiting, and the hope, it starts to feel like a lie. That's when most people quit. That's when most people say, maybe this isn't for me. That's when you either fall apart or fall deeper into your purpose. You see, falling does something to you that nothing else can. It doesn't just break you. It reveals you. When you fall, you see the cracks in your character. You see the fear in your decisions. You see the lies you've told yourself about being strong. But here's the beauty. You also see who's real. When I fell, my circle got smaller. The ones who clapped during success disappeared during struggle. And I was angry at first. But later I realized they were never my people. You learn that pain doesn't just hurt, it teaches. I started rebuilding, not with money, not with resources, but with lessons. Lessons from failure, lessons from silence, lessons from betrayal. And most importantly, lessons from falling. Falling taught me patience. When everything slowed down, I learned how to breathe again, how to listen, how to adapt, how to endure. Falling taught me humility. I stopped pretending. I stopped acting like I had it all figured out. I admitted I was lost. And in that moment, I started finding real direction. Falling taught me courage. Not the loud, showy kind, the quiet kind. The kind where you wake up every day with no applause, no spotlight, no guarantee, and you still go. There was a day I'll never forget it. I was broke, not just financially, but mentally. I had nothing left. I walked to the top of a small hill just outside my city, sat under a tree, and said to myself, if I don't rise again, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering who I could have become. That moment changed me. I didn't have investors. I didn't have influence. I didn't have certainty. But I had the one thing. Falling gave me fire. Real fire. Fire to prove them wrong. Fire to rebuild better. Fire to turn pain into purpose. People think success is about being lucky. Let me tell you the truth. Success is about being durable. It's about being able to take hits that would destroy other people and keep walking. It's about bleeding in private and smiling in public. It's about failing forward. I know someone who was homeless at 18, no family, no backup, just a mind full of ideas and no one who believed in him. He used to spend nights sleeping in an internet cafe, dreaming of building a tech company. Today he employs over 100 people. He fell, but he refused to stay down. Another story, a young woman in her 20s built a startup with her best friend. They shared everything until one day, the best friend took everything and left her bankrupt. The fall broke her spirit for a year. But when she returned, she built a better company, alone. She says the betrayal taught her to trust herself. Every fall in life introduces you to a version of yourself that's more real, more honest, and more dangerous. Why? Because once you've fallen and survived, you don't fear falling again. You stop waiting for applause. You stop begging for validation. You stop hiding your scars. You start building your own ladder, one painful step at a time. The truth is, falling is not the opposite of flying. It's part of it. The eagle falls before it learns to soar. The child falls before it learns to run. The entrepreneur fails before they succeed. And the dreamer crashes before they rise. Let me pause and ask you again, why do we fall? We fall to wake up. We fall to unlearn our pride. We fall to rebuild from truth. We fall to understand what truly matters. We fall so we can rise with purpose. Let me ask you something. Have you ever poured your heart into something, your time, your effort, your love, only to see it collapse in front of you? You gave it your best. You believed. You stayed up late. You sacrificed sleep, friends, fun, and still it didn't work out. You thought you were climbing, but suddenly the ground gave way. That moment when everything falls apart is not just painful, it's confusing. You start questioning everything. Was I wrong to try? Was I stupid to believe? Am I just not good enough? Let me tell you something from experience. You fall because you moved forward. You fall because you dared to walk when others stood still. Falling is not proof of failure. Falling is proof of movement. No one falls standing still. You fall because you're chasing something bigger than your current self. Something that demands more from you, more skill, more strength, more character, more pain. And that's where growth lives, in pain. You think the successful never fall. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man who applied to 30 jobs. All rejected him. He tried to get into the police, rejected. Tried to join KFC, rejected. He started a company. Everyone laughed at the idea. He was mocked, ignored, called crazy. That man eventually built a company worth billions. He fell not once, not twice, 30 times before the world took him seriously. So why do we fall? Because falling teaches us what winning never can. You don't learn strength from comfort. You don't build resilience from applause. You don't develop vision in safe zones. You grow in the fire, you fall. So you can find the courage to rise again. When I was young, I failed school exams. My friends were moving forward, getting jobs, buying homes, marrying. I was stuck, struggling to explain to my family why my ideas hadn't worked yet. It was humiliating. People whispered, "He's wasting his life. He's all talk. He's a failure." And some days I believed them, because the hardest part about falling is not the pain, it's the silence. No one checks on you. No one encourages you. The phone goes quiet. The room feels colder. But here's the truth, the silence. The silence is where champions are built. The silence makes you look inward. It forces you to rebuild not just your plan, but your mindset, your identity, your reasons. In the silence, I discovered something dangerous, clarity. I learned that failure wasn't the opposite of success. It was the furnace that forged it. You don't become great by avoiding failure. You become great by using failure. Every time I fell, I wrote down 3 things. Why did it happen? What did I ignore? What will I do differently? Over time, my falls became fuel. Here's something they don't teach in school. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need the best network. You don't need perfect timing. You just need one thing, the ability to get back up. That's it. Not talent, not luck, just the will to stand when others stay down. I once met a single mother. She had no savings, 2 jobs, 3 kids, no support system. She told me something I'll never forget. She said, "Every day I fall. Every night I rise again because they're watching." That's the kind of strength the world underestimates. Falling doesn't weaken you. Staying down does. You want to know who wins? It's not the person who had the easiest path. It's the one who built their own path after losing everything. It's the one who was told, "You're not good enough," and answered, "Watch me." It's the one who was laughed at in rooms who later owned the building. Pain is the price of greatness, and the currency of pain is time. Sometimes the fall lasts longer than you expected. You keep trying, but nothing works. That's when people quit, not because they're weak, but because they thought it would be faster. Don't rush your rise. You're not behind. You're just being prepared. Some of your biggest breakthroughs will come after your most painful breakdowns. Some of your deepest clarity will come after your darkest nights. And some of your proudest moments will only happen after your worst mistakes. That's the process. You fall, you bleed, you learn, you evolve, you rise. But don't expect applause. The world doesn't celebrate the building phase. They'll only clap after you finish the house, not while you're laying the bricks. Build anyway. Don't wait for motivation. Motivation doesn't last. What lasts is discipline. Fall and get up, even when no one's watching. Fall and learn, even when no one believes in you. Fall and try again, even when success feels far away. That's how you become dangerous. You fall because you're being refined. You fall because your next level is asking more from you. You fall because the version of you that will win doesn't exist yet, but you're building it now, brick by brick, lesson by lesson, failure by failure. So if you're watching this and you're tired and nothing's working and your heart is heavy, let me tell you something that changed my life. This fall is not your end. It's your beginning. You're not being destroyed, you're being sharpened. You're not being punished. You're being redirected. I know what it's like to cry in private, to feel like everyone else is moving ahead while you're stuck, to wake up and feel like the fight is endless. But I promise you this, you're not stuck. You're not broken. You're not done. You're just in the middle of your process. Don't compare your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 30. They fell too. They just don't talk about it. You keep going. You keep standing. You keep falling forward. And one day the world will ask, how did you become so strong? And you'll smile, because they'll never understand how many times you fell to get there. So why do we fall? We fall to find our fire. We fall to kill our ego. We fall to break the chains of who we were, so we can rise as who we're meant to be. Falling is not failure. Falling is the invitation to rise. And today you're invited. Stand up, dust yourself off, look in the mirror, and say, this is not how my story ends.
Bạn nghĩ sao về video này? Bạn có cảm thấy mình đang kiên trì mù quáng không? Bạn có thấy mình đang bảo thủ khi không đủ linh hoạt để thay đổi và định hướng lại cuộc sống của mình? Nếu bạn thấy mình trong đó, hãy để lại số 1 nếu bạn đồng ý với quan điểm của Jack Ma. Và sau đây là mind map tóm tắt toàn bộ câu chuyện. Hãy like và đăng ký kênh để kênh có động lực ra nhiều video tốt nhất. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại!